All right. All righty. You are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Philadelphia Eagles. And why are the Philadelphia Eagles 0-16? Because they suck. They got smoked in the first round of the playoffs by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles suck. They were 10-1 and they lost in the playoffs. First round of the playoffs, the Eagles suck. The Eagles lost in the Super Bowl last year because they suck. The Philadelphia Eagles suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Or anyone's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away. Throw it in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like maybe 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free and fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the very top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon. The second one's called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third membership level I got is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way, next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. And then finally, also, just a little ways down in the description box, there's 2 additional links. The top one's a Facebook link, which I'll go over in just a second. The one underneath it, I'm an old-time fart. I hate change. I'm one of them old-time farts. Get off my lawn, right? One of the old-time farts. The link right under the Facebook link, it's a Twitter link. It's always been Twitter. It'd be Twitter today. It's Twitter tomorrow. It'd be Twitter 3,000 years from now when I'm long gone. It's Twitter. Whatever letter of the alphabet Elon Musk wants to call it, that's on you, bro. I ain't calling it that. It's Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back. That's an absolute promise. I try to put Giants-related stuff in there every day. And then the link right on top of it, it takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants of Gridiron. It's a group. We have over 7,700 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I have internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group darn near 365. And not only do I put stuff in here, but the members post stuff in here as well, too. So between me and the members, there's a ton of New York Giants information going in this group every day, right? So please, it's New York Giants to Gridiron. It's a group. We have over 7,700 members. Please join it. Become a member. You won't be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. With all that stuff said and done out of the way with. Hold on here. I got to move the chair for my buddy Randy here. Hold on, buddy. Hold on. I don't want to. There you go. We're good. All right. We can continue. Randy's here. He always waits for me to start talking. Then he wants me to move the chair. He's crazy. He's too much. Well, looks like Kafka's coming back. Saquon changes his agents. Looks like he's, he doesn't want to kind of go through the debacle that he had kind of like last season. And then got this Dane Brugler is kind of going over a little bit of the landscape of the the quarterback situation here, and it kind of ties it in with the Giants and all and everything. And the defensive coordinator positions, candidates is dwindling. But first, we start off here with Saquon. Now, he said he doesn't seem like he's fooling around now. He changes, it seemed like, I don't know. Was it Kim Miali? I think it is. Is that her name? Who he had, Kim Miali, who had from the Rock Nation from last season. Seemed like she maybe was not, she had his best interest in mind and all, but things just did not turn out for the best. So it says Saquon Barkley makes big agent switch ahead of the Giants contract talks. Saquon clearly has a multi-year deal on his mind. And you can't blame the guy. You know, I mean, this is what, you know, I mean, you get to this point in his career and all that stuff, and you see if he can get one more. Because, I mean, you know, I mean, it's hard to believe, but this is going to be his 7th season. I mean, it just seemed like yesterday he was just a baby. Right? The phones were ringing. You know, we were 2018 with the draft, pick 2. The phones were going berserk. They were going phone calls all over here. And Dave Gettleman was like, nope, I don't care. John Elway's going to call me, and I picked the phone up. He was off me 315 first round picks. Nope, not taking it. Nope. Going to pick Saquon. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. So it just seems like it was just a couple weeks ago. He was just a baby. 7th season already. I mean, the problem is that each year that goes by, I ain't telling him nothing, like he's watching my videos or something, you know, but is that, you know, there's more tread coming off the tires and all that, you know. So, I mean, you know, if he's trying to get like a, you know, of course, you know, it's always, you know, he's shooting for the moon. He wants the 15 mil, you know, the teams come in underneath it, whatever, 8 or 7 or 6, whatever it is, and somewhere they got to meet in the middle here. Now, let me look here at Spot Track. I wonder what Spot Track has his value at here. Let's see here. New York Giants salary cap. We'll go to Spot Track, and it's not real high, I don't think. Wow. See, the thing is that you look right here, is that you right? What's Spot Track here? I mean, I don't really see this happening, but hey, you never know. They have Isaiah Simmons calculated market value $16.5 million, baby. Wow. They got Saquon $10 million. His calculated market value $10 million, which to me sounds you know, relatively fair, around $10 million. You know, but of course he's going to want, you know, 14 or 15, which is kind of like, I guess, what he wanted last year. And then, of course, you know, any team that, you know, wants to send them an offer is going to probably go under 10, and then they try to, I guess, meet somewhere in the middle. But I mean, with Saquon, you got to understand, you know, he's probably only going to get one more. I mean, you figure somebody gives him a 3-year deal, and they can get out after 2, right? But the 3-year deal, I mean, it's going to be his 7th season. It'll be his 8th season, and if he makes it through the rest of it, you know, contract, it'll be his 9th season. You know, this is, you know, his last hurrah, because you figure if he makes it through another 3 seasons, just say, so, you know, I mean, if he still has some tread on the tire, somebody might want to pick him up. You know, it also, some of it also depends upon, you know, how proud of a person he is. You know, I mean, does he want to hang on, bounce around if his 10th season to go to New Orleans, you know, for $3 million, and then his 11th season he bounces to the Carolina Panthers where he makes $1.75 million, and then his 12th season he hangs on and he goes to the Tennessee Titans where he makes 1.5. I mean, you know, it's kind of like, you know, obviously he still has quite a few years left on him without question, but it's gonna be interesting to see. But I mean, this is kind of pretty much like his last big hurrah, right? Is trying to get like a multi-year deal done with, you know, but it's the big thing is the guaranteed money, you know, and I get it, right? You know, and it's going to be one of those things, you know. I mean, you know, it's I don't know how, if it's ever going to be where everything is guaranteed. You know, you write a contract, you write to do the contract for $7 million, it's guaranteed, straight up guaranteed. I mean, unless, like, say he gets injured, you know, what Xavier McKinney did, Xavier McKinney goes out on a if it's not football related, it ain't guaranteed, right? If you do what Xavier McKinney did, right, on the bye week, right? Of course, only with the Giants, right? The guy, we're not even practicing, not playing football, and the guy winds up getting injured. Shocking. It was the Giants. Shocking, I know. But I mean, if it's not football related, right, then I guess it, wipes out the guaranteed part. But if he's injured, in the facility, practice, or in the game, I guess everything, someone, they're trying to get it all where everything's all guaranteed. And I can certainly understand that. But then it's like you have to look at the team's point of view too. I mean, do you want to say guarantee Saquon $10 million for the season, right? He goes out in the first game, he does an Aaron Rodgers, right? You sign him for $10 million, all these deals, whatever is on the dotted line there, it's all guaranteed. So you want to give Saquon a $10 million, it's all guaranteed. Just that he plays 4 plays and he's out for the whole season. And you got to pay the guy $10 million. It's like, so you're going to have that, will that struggle go on forever? You never know. Whether they'll be able to come to some kind of, an agreement somewhere along the line, because then you figure if it's all guaranteed, obviously, then, I got to tell you, I mean, they're not going to offer Saquon $14 million, right? And with $10 million guaranteed, right? It's just going to be a $10 million contract. It's all guaranteed, so. But I mean, as I said, you got to look at, it goes both ways. I understand the guy goes out there, puts his butt on the line, and he gets injured. He put his butt on the line. He got injured playing the game, for this team, and he expects to get paid. But then again, it's the same thing. It's well, for the team, it's like, well, why do we got to pay him? He just played 4 plays of the season. Now he's out for the whole season. Why do we have to give him $10 million for that? We have to start bringing in other guys to take his place. We have to pay those guys. Well, it's like, so this might go on forever. Who knows? But I said, but with Saquon, this is probably his last hurrah, and it'd be interesting to see, what happens if the Giants can't come to some kind of happy medium here where they sign him to a multi-year deal and they here's the tag. Right. And then, of course, Saquon once again can play hardball. And once again, it goes both ways. It's not, if you sign it, he's guaranteed $12 million. So, but they can't, and because they want to get something in return for him, right? So, I mean, you tag and trade him, right? You say you go to Saquon, say, where do you want to go? Give us five teams. Where do you want to go? See what we can try to do. I mean, obviously, hopefully he doesn't want to go in the NFC East, Although Cole Beasley, that guy's, I don't like that guy at all. He's too much of a troublemaker. He's just, I don't like that moron at all. All he does, every time you hear him talking or something or whatever, he says anything. He's just trying to stir up cause problems. I don't like that low life scumbag anyway. But Cole Beasley was like, go to Dallas and then and come back and make the Giants pay for not paying you, something like that. I mean, he's just a low life scumbag, that Cole Beasley. And I said, I'm glad we couldn't find room for that moron on our team. But as I said, I can understand with Saquon. He's trying. It's like his last hurrah. He's trying to get, trying to get paid. I can certainly see where he's coming from. Now the thing is, I mean, if you look, I mean, he's had like over 1,500 touches, right around 50. He's had right around 1,500 touches, right? 1,201 carries, right? and 288 receptions. So right close, almost 1,500 touches. Now, obviously, doesn't mean the patterns that he ran and he incomplete passes and maybe he got hit and stuff like that. But, he's had the ball in his hands almost 1,500 times. So the tread's starting to come off the tires. Now, if he was, wanting 14 or 15 last season, be interesting to see what the market will wind up being for him this season. I mean, I can't see any team paying Saquon $14, $15 million. It's going to be a 7th season. He's still a very productive person. I don't know if anybody's going to, but once again, you never know, because there are teams out there who have far more salary cap money to spend than the Giants do. The Giants only have, if you look at over the cap, I think the Giants have like 21 million. If you go to Spot Track, they have like 27 million, right? Giants don't have a lot of money. Now, the best thing for them to do, obviously, would be to sign him to maybe a 3-year deal where you can possibly get out after 2 years. Give him some money up front, right? Get a signing bonus where you can split it up over 3 seasons, right? Give him whatever, $15 million signing bonus, right? Where you put $5 million for 3 years, spread it out, get his cap hit to come down. So if he was supposed to be making, just throwing a number out there, $10 million this season, right? Get his salary cap to come down where maybe he's only paying him maybe 6 or 5, 6 or 7, somewhere around there. So that way you save yourself a little bit of money. The problem is, obviously, if you tag him, as soon as you tag him, boom, that $12 million comes right off the cap. Right? There's no ifs, ands, or behinds about it. Got to come right off the cap. So if they can't come to some kind of an agreement on a well, I don't want to say long term. I can't see any possibly being any more than 3 years. We're getting out after 2 seasons. The tag and trade would probably be, in play, right? As I said, it's like, just Saquon, here's your contract, sign it, right? So well, and you don't want it to get ugly or nothing like that. You got the tag. Saquon's like, I'm not going to sign it. And then he sits out, or he sits out training camp, or he sits out going into the season, or this or that, But as I said, just sign it, right? And just give us a list of like 5 or 6 places or whatever you want to go. We'll just start making phone calls. And the best thing to do, obviously, is to try to do this, before the draft. Trade him to whoever, hopefully in the AFC. AFC East would be cool why? Because we just played them last year, so we won't have to face Saquon for another 4 seasons. And by that time, he'll be, I don't want to say a shell of himself, but he won't be quite as good as he is right now. So we trade him to, say, Buffalo, right? Put him in it, put Barkley in it back there with Allen. That may not be bad, right? That way Josh Allen doesn't have to, run the ball 97% of the time for the Buffalo Bills. They can hand the ball to Saquon, right? But I said, ship him off to someplace we won't have to see him for quite a few years, which would be cool. And then get like a draft pick in return for him, maybe a 3rd rounder. Somebody of his caliber. I could see a 3rd rounder coming back. I don't know. You ain't getting the 1st rounder. I'd be surprised if you got a 2nd. Like with Leonard Williams, I'd be shocked if you got a 2nd. But hey, maybe a 2nd or 3rd rounder in return. Man, that would be fantastic. I would rather have us be able to sign Saquon and keep him with the team. But if you can't, right, and get like a 3rd rounder return, oh man, we'd have like a 1st round pick 6, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. Ooh, wow. That would be nice. That would really, really be nice. But so where are we at here? He's not playing around here. Okay. Someone's going to have to make the Giants running back Saquon Barkley happy this offseason. Whether or not it will be the G-Men and Joe Shane remains to be seen. But a new update on Barkley's side shows that he means business and that he's going to go after top dollar. So, once again, top dollar, we'll have to wait and see. According to Sports Illustrated, Patty Traynor and Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post, Barkley is moving forward with only CAA's Ed Berry for contract talks. As Dunleavy noted, Barkley had previously worked with Kim Miali of Rock Nation for more than 5 years. She was the one that started, last season when he was trying to, get a contract going. And it just doesn't seem like, I guess it was, just from what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like it was handled maybe in Saquon's best interest. Maybe they valued the running back market, right? They thought, say you'll get 15. Nah, man, you stick one. We got 15. You know what I mean? So, Mama's wrong again, isn't she? Barkley was in the same position last offseason, but ended up getting franchise tag. Will Berry help him avoid that? Well, we'll see. Saquon shaking up things for contract talks, sends a message to the Giants. Over at the Senior Bowl, Shane said that he spoke with Barkley once the 2023 campaign came to a close, and that he'll connect with Barkley's reps at the NFL Combine. So, I mean, we're talking just a few weeks away. Now, we know that it will be Berry to get in touch with Shane in Indianapolis to see if an agreement can be reached. Barkley has been wanting a long-term deal from the Giants for a while, but nothing has been able to get across the finish line. The two-time Pro Bowler has said many times that he wants to be a Giant for life, but he also understands it's a business and that the idea of playing for a new team has crossed his mind. It's been a season for the Giants. Barkley appeared in 14 games, missed 3 of them with an ankle sprain, which he got against the Cardinals in week 2. And it was amazing that we had that comeback against the Cardinals, and you think about it, really didn't, right? A lot of toward the end there, Saquon wasn't in the game, right? Giants went 0-3 in those games without Barkley. He posted 960. So you figure, right? I mean, we were 6-11, so we were 6-8 with Barkley, right? He posted 962 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, adding 4 more scores through the air. So he had, 10 touchdowns. Very, very good. But you figure if he played all those other 3 games, he'd certainly, I'm sure he would have wound up having over 1,000 yards rushing. Only time will tell if the decision to shake up things with his reps will be beneficial for him or not. But if the Giants don't put the kind of money Barkley wants to be on the table, Berry will look to find someone who will. Barkley is beloved by people all over New Jersey and New York, but it's still quite possible that he has played his last game for Brian Daboll and Big Blue. So, I mean, unfortunately, it's one of those things, as much as you love the game and all that stuff and everything, sadly, it's a business, and it's always will be a business. And, so unfortunately, things like this come, there's for every, whatever, Eli Manning, for every Monty Toomer, for every Michael Strahan, there's whatever, 50 to 100, or maybe whatever other guys who don't play the whole career with the same team. Yeah, it is what it is. I said it would be difficult to see Saquon in another uniform. Yeah, it sure would be. But, I mean, you got to look at, too, I mean, if the Giants can tag and trade him, get, like I said, maybe a third rounder in return, you can see what you got with Gray, but you can get another running back. I mean, maybe not to replace Saquon, don't get me wrong, but you can get a quality running back. You could probably take that third-round pick. Just saying a third-round pick. You tag and trade him, right? Sign here, Saquon. We'll trade you to Detroit or wherever you want it, whatever. We can, we'll get a third-rounder back for you. Take that third-rounder, get yourself a running back. You may not be able to get, quite a Saquon, but you could probably come pretty doggone close, especially because this is his 7th season. I'm sure in the 3rd round of the NFL draft, you can probably come up with a pretty nice running back, somebody who can, tote the rock, somebody who can catch some passes, right? And the injury history is negligible, right? Right. So I'm sure you can find a decent replacement for Saquon. And I said, then you look at it like that too. It's like, okay, we'll take that 3rd round pick. We'll grab ourselves another running back. Where we got Jashawn Corbin, right? We got Eric Gray, right? And we draft somebody in the 3rd round. And we got three young stud running backs. Not saying we got the greatest running backs in the world, but get a 3rd round pick. I mean, he's only going to cost you $700,000-$800,000 a season instead of paying Saquon $10, $11, $12 million a season. Save yourself a bunch of do-re-mi. You're going to get yourself a young stud, who's you're going to have for 4 seasons on the cheap. I mean, you figure if you draft somebody in the 3rd round, right? I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm saying they're like $800,000, right? You're looking at $3.2 million, maybe $3.5 million to get this running back for 4 seasons, right? I mean, it's going to cost you Saquon. If you want Saquon, it's going to cost you $10 million for 1 season. You can literally draft 3 running backs, right? And their whole 4 years, all their contract. I mean, you draft a running back in the 3rd round, draft a running back in the 4th round. Not that they're going to do this, I understand, but you can draft a running back in the 3rd, one in the 4th, and one in the 5th, and all 3 of them, 3 guys, 4 years each. Okay, it's going to cost you about $10 million. 1 year Saquon is going to cost you about $10 million. So, right, you do the math. I mean, somewhere along the line, unfortunately, it gets to be too much. Now, if the Giants had a lot more salary cap space, maybe things would be maybe a little different, a little bit. But they don't got much wiggle room. They don't have much wiggle room. I said after they signed their draft class, they don't got a lot of money to spend. Yeah, I said they got ways of saving some money. I said if you let go like Glowinski, I think you can save $4 or $5 million. They can restructure some guys' contracts and all and everything. So there's ways of coming up with some extra money without question. But they said, but they don't have a boatload. 2025, they'll have a lot more money to spend than they do in 2024. But Saquon, he's not playing around. He was not playing around. He's probably be his last multi-year deal, quite possibly. 3 years. A 3-year deal. That'd probably be his last. So, as I said, because if he signs a 3-year deal, where they can get out after 2, but that's going to be his 7th season, his 8th season, and his 9th season. Most running backs don't last 8 or 9 seasons. So. But then we have, of course, the defensive coordinator candidates shrinking. Oh, boy. Their options for defensive coordinator begin to dwindle. I'd say, I'll tell you what, man, if it winds up coming down to it, right? I wouldn't be upset if we had Jerome Henderson, right? It says after an ugly falling out between Brian Daboll and Wink Martindale, the Giants were thrust into the hunt for a new defensive coordinator. Their search has been thorough, but thus far has yielded no fruit. Earlier this week, General Manager Joe Schoen said he'd like to have a defensive coordinator in place over the upcoming days, but that clock is still ticking. Nearly a month after the Giants and Martindale parted ways, the Giants are still without a defensive coordinator, and following a recent spat of hirings, their options are beginning to dwindle. Now, Ejiro Evero. The Carolina Panthers are blocking. The Giants are not allowed to talk to him. Giants have requested an interview with Ejiro Evero, but were blocked by the Carolina Panthers, The Athletic reports. Evero had a second interview for the Seahawks head coaching vacancy Saturday. So the Panthers can't really block him for that because that's a promotion. They're blocking teams from picking the phone up and calling and having them do a lateral move, right? So he's defensive coordinator, go from a defensive coordinator to defensive coordinator. That they don't want. That they're not having. They're not having any of that. And multiple teams are interested in hiring him as a defensive coordinator, according to a league source. But Evero remains under contract with the Panthers, who can block him from interviewing for lateral positions. So he's under contract with the Panthers as the defensive coordinator. Now, and they have all the right in the world to block him from going to the Giants as the defensive coordinator. I mean, why wouldn't they? Why would they? I mean, why would they, some, right? It's like, don't want to so much maybe, every situation is different, right? Like we got Brasillo, right? We wound up getting Brasillo from the Raiders, right? So some of the organizations out there are kind of like, but a very small, minute amount, okay? Or like, we're looking for a new head coach. We just fired our coach. But we have these good guys, okay, they've been very loyal to us, and they're in limbo. They don't know what's going on. They could be really, really good, but the new head coach coming in may not want them. Right? I said, no, he's a nice guy. That's not my guy. That's not my defense. He runs a different scheme. I don't like that. I want to bring somebody else in who will run a scheme I'm kind of familiar with. I like this, that, and the other thing. So, so just because he's good and the other team keeps him doesn't mean the new head coach coming in is going to want him. The thing is, now that all the head coaching vacancies are all filled up, okay, now the head coaches coming in, they all the guys who have been waiting, like Evero or whatever, guys like that, they know if they're going to be kept or not. But some of the organizations, it's like, okay, we just fired our head coach. We're still looking for a head coach. It might take another week or so, but we don't want to screw you up, right? We don't know if you're a good guy, good candidate. We'd like to keep you just in case the new head coach wants to keep you on his, right? Wants to keep you, but we don't know if that's going to happen. So we don't want to screw with you. So if somebody calls and wants you to interview for a lateral job, we don't want to stand in your way. We'll go right ahead. So some organizations, go right ahead. Some don't. Like, the Giants have been blocked quite a few times this season. And, and it's understandable. I mean, if you got a good young, I don't know how old that guy, he looks just like a baby. He's young. If you got a good young coordinator there, you might want to keep him, especially if you're bringing in a new coach, right? And you're trying to rebuild and all that. If you got somebody there in the building who's good, keep him. He's under contract, keep him, right? So the Giants, they've been blocked, but they're still trying. Let's see. Evero apparently wants to coach a defense outside of Carolina, but the organization is intent on preventing him from a lateral move. Then we got Denard Wilson. Okay. Wilson had 2 interviews with the Giants for the vacant decent, and it seemed like he was their number one choice. Ultimately, Wilson decided to go elsewhere and is currently working on a deal with the Tennessee Titans to take over their defensive coordinator. Now, the thing is, with them, he had, trying to move my legs here, buddy Randy. I don't want to. There we go. Okay, cool. Now he has a little connection with somebody in Tennessee. There's no connections with him with anybody here at all. With the Giants. So I think quite possibly maybe he went. Was it Carthon? Rand Carthon, I think his name is, with Tennessee. So he had a little, he's some familiarity. He has a friend there, somebody who he's dealt with before. So maybe that's why he went to Tennessee, right? So has Tennessee become a more appealing job than the Giants? If so, that's concerning, but we don't know. Bob Babich, right, from Buffalo. Buffalo Bills linebacker coach Bob Babich was an option that intrigued most Giants fans. He met with the team, but ultimately opted to remain in Western New York. As opposed to taking over the defensive coordinator job in East Rutherford, Bob Babich was promoted to the Bills defensive coordinator. Shane Bowen. It briefly appeared as if Shane Bowen was also off the table for the Giants, with reports that the Titans were going to keep him in tow. However, the hiring of Wilson obviously changes that. As of this writing, Bowen is still technically to D.C. and Tennessee. Well, that's going to change. They may find another role for him, but the more likely outcome is that he's fired and becomes an option for the Giants once again. Bowen was among the first to interview for the Giants during this cycle. Brendan Daly. If Brendan Daly is the man for the Giants, it's going to be a while before the defensive coordinator vacancy is filled. Daly is currently coaching linebackers with the Kansas City Chiefs, and while he previously met with the Giants, his primary focus is the Super Bowl, obviously. The Giants do ultimately go with Daly. They can't hire him until after the big game on February 11th. And you got to look. I mean, now with Spags there as well, but I believe the Chiefs had the. I mean, this is hard for me to fathom. Think about this, but the Chiefs had the second best, I think, scoring defense in the NFL. I mean, it's like it's like really. I mean, the only time I can the Chiefs having a good defense, pretty decent defense was like back in 1969 when they, in the AFL, last season, the AFL. I mean, they had talking about a good defense. I mean, I think they're the only defense in NFL history. Well, they have 2 Hall of Famers on all 3 levels. They had 6 Hall of Famers on that freaking defense. I mean, Buck Buchanan, Curly Culp, and Bobby Bell, Emmett Thomas, Willie Lanier. I mean, man, that's some good guys. What a defense that is. But I mean, you don't think nowadays with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, you don't think defense in Kansas City. But hey, look, right? They held, obviously, the fumble that the Ravens had, whatever it was, like the half-inch line or half yard, whatever it was, ball gets punched out. The Chiefs recovered in the end zone and all that. So they were this close to scoring another touchdown. But still, even if you held the Ravens to 17, even 20 points in Baltimore, I mean, that's pretty darn good. So I mean, the Chiefs, might be worth a while. But but as I said, they're gonna have to wait like whatever, another 10 days or so until after the Super Bowl's over with. So I mean, he might be worth a shot. Right? I mean, just because he's not Steve Spagnuolo or somebody like that, or Wink Martindale, doesn't mean he's not good. I mean, he's been there under Spags, right? And this is going to be possibly Spags. Well, he's got, I think, 3 Super Bowls. This might be his 4th one he's going for. So, Derek Ansley. Giants requested an interview with the Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator Derek Ansley early in the hiring cycle, and then everything surrounding him fell silent. It's unclear if the Chargers granted the Giants' request for an interview at the time, or if Ansley remains on their radar now that things have been shaken up out in L.A. Anthony Campanile, right? Miami Dolphins linebacker coach Anthony Campanile was also an early target for the Giants. He interviewed with the Giants, but appears destined to remain in Florida. Dolphins recently interviewed Campanile for their own defensive coordinator vacancy, and he's believed to be the front runner for the job. So, Jerome Henderson. I mean, I tell you, if we sign him, right? I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be upset at all if we sign Jerome. Is it safe to say Jerome Henderson is not the front runner for the Giants defensive coordinator job? I mean, let's see what he's got. I mean, he's done it. He's done a not too bad job with the Giants secondary, right? Not too bad. Henderson has served as a Giants defensive backs coach since 2020, right? So he's been there for 2 seasons, defensive backs coach for 2 seasons with Judge, 2021, 22, and 23 with Dable. So, and is widely respected in the locker room and around the league. And even Wink Martindale has high praises for Jerome Henderson. high praises for him. The 54-year-old has a long history as both a player and an assistant and appears ripe for his first coordinator job. Right? Keep the guy in-house, right? The nice thing with him is that he's been around for a while. It also says in his article, the Giants held their own in-house interview with Henderson in mid-January, and he's arguably the best remaining option. And, I wouldn't argue with that, right? But the thing is, he's been under, a couple other defense coordinators. He's been 2 seasons under Wink, right? So he's seen, what Wink's done, right, with the with the blitzing and all of that. But he's had 2 seasons under Patrick Graham too. Patrick Graham was kind of more of a let's fall back, right? Keep everything in front of us, right? And then complete the 7-8 yard pad, whatever it is. Come up and make it tackle him, bring him to the ground, right? Let's see if they can put together a 13, 14, 15 play drive and go all the way down the field, right? So he's been under, a couple different coordinators, right? And he's 54 years old, but, the guy's got a lot of experience. If we bring him in and let him do his thing, cool. Right? I mean, especially because also he's very familiar. Now, we're going to lose some guys, obviously. I don't know if we're going to be bringing A'Shawn Robinson back. I mean, there's a bunch of guys, Hopefully we can bring Isaiah Simmons back. I mean, I don't know, Adoree Jackson's probably gone. Xavier McKinney might be gone. Cam Brown, Carter Coughlin, yada, yada, yada. So, but the guys who are left, he's familiar with. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see. But the list is dwindling. It is dwindling. All right, then we got, looks like Kafka is coming back. So you tell me there's a chance. Yeah, Kafka looks like he's coming back, especially after, the deal is now done and agreed to sort. Mike Macdonald will now sign it, but he's Seattle's Seahawks new head coach. So, Kafka, had a chance, right, at becoming maybe Seattle's new head coach, but forget about it, right? Now he's so offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, who was believed to have been a finalist for the Seahawks head coaching vacancy, will now be heading west. Will not be heading west for that role after all. Per the NFL Network, the Seahawks have hired Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald to succeed longtime head coach Pete Carroll in the role. Yeah, it's going to be weird seeing somebody other than Pete Carroll on that sideline. Let me tell you what. With that decision having been made, that means Kafka, who was also considered for the Tennessee Titans head coaching vacancy that went to Brian Callahan, has been shut out of the NFL head coaching opportunities for a second straight year, unless he emerges as a candidate for the still as yet unfulfilled. No, looks like Washington's got their job filled. Kafka, who has served as the West team's head coach at the Shrine Bowl this week, is believed to have 1 year left on his contract with the Giants. While the expectation now is that he will return to fulfill that role, another team may offer him a promotion by making him an offensive coordinator / associate or an assistant head coach, which would be a promotion. Right? With the Seahawks having landed Macdonald, all eyes will turn to the Ravens and how they proceed to replace Macdonald. The feeling is that Baltimore will promote from within, the 2 leading candidates being defensive backs, Denard Wilson now. I think defensive line coach, but I think possibly Anthony Weaver might be. I think he's the one. Denard Wilson is not going to be getting a job. Wilson has been linked to the Giants, who are searching for a defensive coordinator. So this article is maybe a little old there. Giants general manager Joe Shane told reporters at the Senior Bowl that the expectations would decide on its next defensive coordinator by the end of the week. So the clock is ticking. However, right, other candidates initially linked to the Giants, Bob Babbage, was promoted to the Bills defense coordinator, so he's out of the running. Also, it's believed that given the timeline Shane offered, Kansas City, the linebackers coach Brandon Daly is out of the running as well. Well, so we'll have to wait and see, since he wouldn't be available to be hired until the Super Bowl. So he wouldn't be hired until, 10 days from now, or, right after the Super Bowl is over. So it looks like Kafka's coming back. He has like one more, according to that article, he has one more season left as the Giants. So it'll be interesting to see if he winds up going, after the season's over, if he winds up going elsewhere. We'll have to wait and see. But so Kafka, be interesting to see also what do they wind up doing as far as play calling, right? Because there was apparently it's times last season where Dable was calling the plays, and then he gave it back to Kafka, and then he maybe took the play calling away, gave it back to Kafka, and all that. So there's also, just reading some reports and all, it seems like Kafka is maybe not totally thrilled about being here in New York. So he has one more season left to go in his contract, and just also reports too. It's like even if he did wind up leaving, it looked like they would just maybe promote Shea Tierney, bring him up and make him the new offensive coordinator, although he may not possibly call plays, though. But also look for, if the Giants were to draft a quarterback, especially at pick 6, or if they jump, if for some reason they do move up, I don't know if they, but if they do want to draft a quarterback with pick 6, look for Dable to be really hands-on, because, his rear end's on the line with this quarterback. If they sink with this quarterback, he's gone. So look for him to really be hands-on with this, if they draft it, even in the second round. If somebody falls in the second round, they take somebody in the second round. If he gets somebody there, he wants to start molding and all that, everything. Look for him to really be hands-on, and quite possibly, who knows, look for maybe Dable to be one just calling the plays this season. So we'll have to wait and see. But Kafka's back. Looks like for at least one more season. Might possibly be his final season, but we'll have to wait and see. And then finally, Dane Brugler does a very good job at breaking down the quarterbacks that are coming out in the draft, and what it might have to do with the Giants. And the one dude from LSU, that dude is like freaking off the hook. I mean, he may not be the greatest passing quarterback, but I mean, he's just, the tools the guy has is just like silly. Really, really silly. I mean, everybody seems to think Caleb Williams is the number one quarterback in the draft, and he ain't going to reach the Giants. Not going to reach the Giants. What we at here? Okay. Giants quarterback landscape. Dane Brugler breaks down the NFL's draft top prospects and their fit in New York. Got General Manager Joe Schoen has left the door open to drafting a quarterback this year, even as he continues to voice his support of Daniel Jones. With the Giants holding number 6 pick in the upcoming NFL draft, the possibility of drafting a quarterback is to be taken seriously. So with the draft cycle kicking into gear this week with the Senior Bowl, the Athletics draft expert Dane Brugler broke down the top quarterback prospects in the draft and how they could fit with the Giants. Is Caleb Williams and Drake May locked in as the top 2 quarterbacks? He said, I wouldn't call it a lock. I think the biggest myth in draft conversations is a consensus quarterbacks. Some teams had Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence. Ooh, wow. On their boards a couple of years ago. Okay, interesting. Yep. There we go. Williams is a clear favorite to go number 1 overall, but the coaches haven't even gotten involved in the process yet. The interviews, right? Bringing these guys to the building, and we have to remember that when you're drafting a quarterback in the top 10, it's really an ownership decision. That too. There are so many things that could go into this that could change how teams are feeling. I think it's too early to say that you're locked in, but I do think it's fair to say Williams is the favorite. And I think May is favored to go number 2. Although if a team concluded that LSU's Jaden Daniels, the guy's, freakish talent, is a guy they felt more willing to be on at that point, I don't think it would be a huge shock. when you talk about these three quarterbacks at the top, no order would be truly surprising. It's just a matter of what these teams are willing to bet on. How big is the gap between Williams, May, and Daniels? I do have the top two guys a little bit ahead of Daniels, but you can't ignore what he did this year. I'm not quite there with Daniels as a passer as I am with the other two. Obviously, he had a great year. He tallied almost 4,000 passing yards. But I think he benefited from an outstanding offensive line. Two great wide receivers who are going to be drafted in the first round and two other receivers who will be drafted next year. So that helps. So if you think, he in college, if he's got this great, he's got a great offensive line. He's got two really good offensive weapons, wide receivers. Giants ain't got that, right? So he's going to be going from that to dropping back the pass, and he's going to have 13 guys on top of him within 2 seconds. So that's going to be a little bit of an eye opener, right? He said, I think that sets Daniels apart is what he can do with his legs. Lamar Jackson isn't an apples to apples comparison, but where the similarities come in is where those two, if they force defenses to defend you in a certain way. This is what teams have brought up to me. They mentioned Lamar Jackson as if a defense has to defend Daniels like they have to defend Jackson, that just changes things. It changes the math. It changes how we're going to attack. Absolutely. If we're just ranking those three guys as passers, I think the top two are ahead of Daniels, but it's not like there's a huge gap. And Daniels brings something with his legs that just is a little bit different. It says, what's your scouting report on Caleb Williams? He's a dynamic passer, and he has the instinctive ability to create. It's hard to come up with a comparison for him because he is so different. The best comparison I have for him is a karaoke version of Patrick Mahomes. He's just truly unique as a playmaker. There are times when he's not consistent working on schedule from the pocket, but you live with those slight negatives because the positives are so special. The poise, the mobility, the way he can buy time, the second chance plays. There are times he's overconfident in his abilities to find those answers amid the chaos. He led all of college football in touchdowns and wow plays the past 3 years. That's something that you think is going to translate. The fumbles worry me. He also led the country in fumbles over that same span. Not good. This isn't a perfect prospect. He's someone who needs to make some improvements in his areas. But then again, right, if you got somebody who can help make improvements, who better than maybe Brian Daboll, right? Look what he did with Josh Allen. What's your scouting report on May? He's cut from the same cloth as Justin Herbert. Big, strong arm passer. He's a good athlete. He was maybe the best third down scramble in college football last season. And that's important. Maybe somebody's not going to kill you with his legs, right? But if it's third down and 6, he's dropping back, he's looking, he finds a way to scramble out, pick up 6.5 yards, first down, keep the chains moving, right? That's nothing more demoralizing, right? The defense is, right, they're putting the pressure on, they got third down and whatever, they got the wide receivers covered, and he scrambles out and picks up the first down. Man, that's demoralizing. Let me tell you what. He really works well from the pocket. It's just a matter of being consistent with him. You post his highlights and you feel great about him as a pocket passer. Then some others, the accuracy isn't quite on point, but the offensive line didn't do him any favors. Now, once again, you have to keep that in mind too. If you're bringing him in with the Giants got, some rebuilding on the offensive line to do, and it wouldn't hurt to give him a couple more good weapons, right? He had one NFL-worthy receiver he was throwing to. That plays a part. There are times, just like Williams, when he will try to play hero ball. Most of his interceptions have come in the second half where he felt like he needed to do a little bit more. So, yeah. But, some of the things are very, very coachable, right? The biggest thing with May down the stretch, the Clemson game and the North Carolina State game, those two tapes were rough. It wasn't all on him. Plenty of blame to go all around with the offense, but he just wasn't able to get it done in those two games. That will leave a lasting impression with some evaluators. there's a chance all three quarterbacks could be gone before the sixth pick, which is quite possibly first, second, and third, right? You could have the Bears, right? You could have the Commanders, and you could have the Patriots. 1, 2, 3. There's those three quarterbacks may not even get the pick 4, right? Would it be worth the Giants to trade up even as high as the number 1 pick to go get one of them? I don't know. I mean, I tell you what, if the Bears are moving on from Justin Fields and they're falling in love with Caleb Williams, right? You're taking Caleb Williams. Doesn't matter who's calling. If it's consensus in the boardroom or whatever, that Caleb's the man. And you know what? You're going to go on and you're going to push Justin Fields or whatever. Justin Fields might be the starter or whatever like that or something. And then Caleb Williams comes in and then you got Justin Fields and you can trade him and you can get a nice return for him as well. You can probably get a first or second rounder for Justin Fields, right? But I mean, if everybody there thinks that Caleb Williams is the next coming of Jesus Christ, right? You take him. Doesn't matter who's calling on the phone, right? We'll give you 37 for nope. That's our guy. He's our quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. We're going to get him, and we're going to wind him up and plug and play. And Caleb, we'll see you in 15 years, brother, right? You're the Chicago Bears quarterback for the next 15 years. Go get him, Tiger, right? Yeah, the toughest position in all sports. If you think that's your guy, you take him. So, I mean, they may not even be able to move up. I mean, like same thing with the Commanders. Do you think the Commanders want to trade with the Giants and so the Giants can jump up and trade with the Commanders? Commanders go back to number 6 and the Giants take May, right? And May's there 2 times a year and he's killing the Commanders. And the Commanders still need a quarterback, right? Same thing with the Patriots. Patriots need a quarterback, right? Without being able to sit down with these guys, there's certain things like character that we just don't know. But you just based off of traits and talent, I think you can definitely come to a conclusion that any of these 3 are worth trading up for. The goal should be to find a quarterback you think can be a top 10 guy. You can get there if your evaluation of these 3 guys. As a rookie, Daniels might be the best of the group because he's a 5th-year starter. He's got a leg up on these guys in terms of what he's seen, what he's been through. I think you can make the argument Daniels is more ready to play right away and make plays, but I think these other 2 guys can make plays as rookie as well. And I will think probably have the other 2 will have higher ceilings. I also got to remember too, like with the Giants. Now, the Giants aren't like, what would you say, a quarterback away. It's like, man, we just get this quarterback, right? We put him in there. We're going Super Bowl, baby. No, but he can't screw up, right? He can't throw interceptions like that. No, the Giants we're still rebuilding, right? So if it turns out to be that Daniel Jones, Eli Manning kind of thing, Eli Manning started the season, and then Daniel Jones slipped in there for the final 12 games of the season, right? And Daniel Jones, he throws some good passes, has some good games, has some fumbles, but he's learning. That would be fine for the Giants this season because we're not expected to be going to the Super Bowl, and we're not going to the Super Bowl next season. It doesn't matter how well we draft, right? It's not happening. So we're still building. So if you can get somebody, if they do it, and he goes in there, he learns, he gets some experience, he gets some knowledge, all that stuff, but he makes some mistakes, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, of course, you don't want the mistakes, but, if he's going to have them, let him have them this season, right? And then maybe the second season, he can start building from that. Maybe start cutting some of those mistakes down because it's not like we just draft a quarterback. Put him in there. Super Bowl. That's not happening with the Giants. If that trio is gone, is there any other quarterback who would be worthy of the 6th pick? For me, any other quarterback would be a reach at that point. But some really good ones like Oregon's Bo Nix and some really like Michigan's J.J. McCarthy. But that would be a little bit of a reach for me, especially at pick 6. Nix is another 5-year starter. He led the FBS in total touchdowns this year. He had more than 50. Wow. He had more than 17,000 total yards in his career. This guy has a resume unlike anything we've seen. I just think things are so easy for him at the Oregon offense. things are going to get a lot tougher in the NFL. That's something you have to keep in mind. Just because, they have good numbers in college does not always necessarily mean it's going to translate into the NFL. I think Nix can be an NFL starter, but can he be a guy who puts the team on his back and goes to win the game for you? I have a hard time getting there with him. But I do think he's a starter. He has a starter skill set because he has a good arm, he scrambles, and he can give defenses fits. There's a lot of things that will project well, but that wouldn't be a bet I'd be comfortable making in the top 10. Why does the scouting community seem higher on McCarthy than the general public? McCarthy has plenty of tools to work with. He wasn't asked to be a consistent downfield passer in that offense. That doesn't mean he can't do it. So there's a lot of projection involving with McCarthy. I know fans get annoyed with his win-loss record for quarterbacks, but teams can't care about it. In high school, McCarthy was 36-2 as a starter and won a state championship. In college, he was 27-1 as a starter and won a national championship. This guy who has won at every level. Now, let's also not forget, one thing, that Belichick, when it came to Brady, of course, Brady lasted, a long time. But the thing is that, he was kind of, one thing that, he won. Now, he didn't win a national championship or nothing, but he won. Anytime he came in the game, he got the team from behind. He didn't start all the games. Right. Sometimes maybe they fell behind or whatever, and Brady came in maybe in the second half or what it was, and they lead the team onto a victory. He was just a winner. Right. Maybe he didn't have the most gaudiest numbers in the world, but what? He was a winner. Like Joe Montana, right? Joe Montana with Notre Dame led them to a national championship. He was just a winner. Right. He got, the what was it? The Sugar Bowl, I think it was, against Houston, 78, was it? 79, whatever that was. When he had like a flu, it's terrible. He came, but he brought Notre Dame from behind against Houston. Houston was up, I forgot what it was, like 34-12 or something like that, whatever it was in the fourth quarter, and he brought them from behind and wound up winning the game on a last-second touchdown pass in the corner of the end zone. Well, they had to kick the extra point. I think the touchdown pass tied it up at 34 or whatever it was or something, but they had to kick the extra point. Then they wound up winning, I think it was 35-34 or something like that, but he was just the winner. So it doesn't matter like with the number. Well, he didn't have 70 touchdown passes. He didn't complete 98% of his passes. He didn't, but did they win football games? Right? Did they take the team from behind and win football games? The answer is yeah. Well, you got yourself a winner there. It's not bad. That's not bad. Let's see here. Why does the scouting community seem lower on Washington's Michael Penix than the general public? Well, Penix, he's had a lot of injuries. A lot. He's had some season-ending injuries, too. I think shoulder injuries and ACLs, I think it is. Without question, his durability is going to be huge. If somebody takes him in the top 10 or something like that with his injury history, I think they're straight up crazy. It says here, I think he's more of a third-round guy, and then it's a matter of what point does a team really feel desperate to go get him. He's a terrific college passer, but he had 4 season-ending injuries that will play a part in this. Another 6-year guy. He's played in like 3,000 games, but he'll turn 24 right after the draft. Right? He's inconsistent in a lot of key areas. The mechanics, some of the anticipation stuff, especially over the middle of the field, the pressure reactions. But he has arm confidence and one of the best deep balls you'll see. He's willing to attack every square inch of the field. So he's got a lot going for him. But there's injuries. In the right situation, can be a really good productive formula, but I think he's going to be more of a day 2 guy, like we were saying, maybe a second, maybe a third-round pick. You're taking a big, huge risk taking Penix in the first round, especially with his injuries. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Hendon Hooker's situation last year, where he started popping up in the first-round mocks and even in the top 10. But no, this is the day 2 guy. He's talented, but there are parts of his projection and his report that worry you a little bit. Now, what's the best case realistic outcome for the Giants if they want to find a quarterback? Daniels at number 6. My favorite stat with quarterbacks is who creates the explosives. Nobody has more explosive plays this year than Daniels. Most plays of 20-plus yards in 2023. Jaden Daniels had 76 of them. This guy, and he says this guy is ridiculous. The next guy, closest guy, was Michael Penix with 57. Caleb Williams had 55. So he had 21 more explosive plays than Caleb Williams did. Now, once again, he had 2 great wide receivers. He had a great offensive line, right? He had a really good head coach with Kelly, right? So let's not forget all about that stuff, right? That's not something, say, when you're going to get drafted in the top 5, right? Who's in the top 5 in the NFL draft? Teams that sucked the year before, okay? So you're not going from Alabama, who has 5 all-consensus All-American offensive linemen, 3 first-round wide receivers out there. You're standing back in the pocket, and you're just waiting for one of them to get open. You're standing back there for 3.5 hours. Oh, there he is. He's wide open, 50 yards down the field. Oh, man, that's a pretty pass. He caught it. He ran in for a touchdown. Man, look at my numbers. I'm so good. That's not happening with the Giants. He's going to get the ball. His eyes are going to go up, and he's going to look down the field. There's going to be 13 guys hanging all over him, right? He's not going to have first-round wide receivers running around there or nothing. He's going to have to learn to do something with the ball in about half a second because he has no blocking, right? So can he do that? Can that translate to the, right? But Jaden Daniels, his plays of 20-plus yards is just absolutely crazy. He had 90 plays of 20-plus yards. Wow. To put that in context, Joe Burrow in his Heisman-winning national championship season at LSU had 87 explosive plays, and that was in 15 games. Daniels had 90 in 12 games. Freaking crazy. Absolutely crazy. What would that be? 60, 72. So he had 7.5 20-plus yard plays per game. 7.5. So every 2 games, he had 15 plays of at least 20 yards. It's crazy. So this guy, with his arms and with his legs, can just do a lot of things. There are certain things a passer where he needs to continue to grow and get better, where I don't think he's up on a level of Williams or May. But the full package of what he offers is exciting. I think he fits with what they want to do with that coaching staff. So best case scenario, realistic scenario would be Daniels at number 6. So, is he going to fall to the Giants? As I said, the thing is, just what you're hearing. That's all I'm going by. Just what I'm hearing. I don't know. Is that, the Bears going to move on from Justin Fields? It's just like you draft the quarter, you trade up, you draft the quarterback, and it's a couple years like, we don't want it. I'm saying might be helpful, okay, would be to jump back a few spots, let somebody jump up, right? Grab the number 1 pick, move back a couple spots, and draft one of these wide receivers. That might help Justin Fields out. Not only going to draft one of these wide receivers, you might be able to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. That would help Justin Fields out, wouldn't it? And then not only that, but you're going to get an extra 1 or 2 high picks. Just move back a couple spots, right? That would help the Bears out as well. But as I said, just what I'm hearing is it seems like they want to move on from Justin Fields, and the Commanders need a quarterback, and the Patriots need a quarterback. Now, to be fair, you got a new coach in Washington, you got a new coach going in New England. The guy with the Commanders, right, or just say the Patriots, the new Patriots coach, he's like, well, I want Williams or I want May. If those 2 guys aren't there, I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not a Daniels guy. I'm not quite, I think he needs a little too much refining for us. We'll roll with somebody or something like that. Yeah, right. And then, he might slide a couple of spots and he might be there at number 6 for the Giants. Who knows? Right? You don't know. Somebody might take Daniels at number 2, and for whatever reason, May might fall to the Giants. Who knows? But that's the one thing about the draft. You just don't know. You just don't know. Somebody could trade up, but offer the Commanders a package they can't refuse. Maybe they might fall back. You don't know. You really, really don't know. But it does seem like Williams and May will be gone. I mean, so unless somehow the Giants try to jump up to number 1 and number 2, which I don't think, because the Giants are trying to rebuild, right? Compete and rebuild, right? At the same time, we need a lot. Not only do we need some positional help, but we need some depth as well too. So to go up there and mortgage like 3 or 4 draft picks just to move up and grab a quarterback right now, because you're going to get your quarterback, but now you don't have a team around them. So how good is he going to be? You have no offensive line. You got wide receivers, but you need a dog. You know what I'm saying? And especially if you can't sign Saquon and all that, your star running back's gone. You don't have a number 1 wide receiver. Your offensive line needs some help and all that stuff and everything. So to jump up and mortgage your future for the next couple of years for a quarterback, if you don't have a team around him, I think it would be a bit much. So one of these guys might fall to the Giants at 6 and be very, very interesting. But all right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 11 minutes. That might be a new record. Might be a new record for me. 1 hour and 11 minutes. So whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody spends any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.